on teaching methods, lesson pace, classroom environment. For example, you have an anonymous questions box or a short Google form exit ticket where you ask, what's one thing we should do more of, or one thing I could change, and then actually use the feedback in the next class. This shows the students their opinions really matter and it builds trust and engagement. The fourth strategy is roles and responsibility. Okay, here we are talking about roles beyond chores, not just distribute the papers, clean the board. No, we are talking about roles that matter in learning. So we have a tech captain in the class. He's responsible or she is responsible for setting up the slides, the videos. We have the question keeper collecting the class questions. We have the summarizer who's wrapping up what was learned at the end and shares his notes with the class. And you can always rotate these roles every month, for example. The impact of this strategy is that this way every student gets a voice and a valued contribution. Peer teaching is another strategy to give students voice and encourage their participation. So you allow your students to teach part of the lesson to their peers. In math, after solving problems in groups, one group explains their method on the board while classmates ask questions. This builds confidence and fosters collaborative learning between the students. And finally, we have the strategy of empathy and storytelling, which gives space for students to share personal stories, experiences, or cultural perspectives. For example, during a unit on migration, invite students to share their own family's story if they're comfortable to share it, of course. And this makes learning meaningful and gives marginalized voices a platform. Consistency and predictability is the fourth pillar that holds strong teacher-student relationships. So predictable routines reduce anxiety. When students know what will happen next, their brains can relax. It's like when you're watching a movie. It's either a nerve-wracking, unpredictable movie where you feel on the edge all the time, or a comfort movie where you know what's going to happen next and you know the drill, but you're watching it to feel cozy and comfortable. And this is exactly how your classroom ambience should feel like to make students feel safe and comfortable. So uncertainty creates stress, especially for younger students, students with attention or learning difficulties, anxious or easily overwhelmed learners. But predictability, on the other hand, creates mental stability and it frees up cognitive space in students' minds so they can focus on learning instead of worrying. Students feel emotionally safe when their teacher is consistent and predictable. What does emotional safety mean? Emotional safety means students feel they won't be embarrassed. The teacher's reactions won't be unpredictable. Mistakes are not punished harshly. The atmosphere is steady, not chaotic. So when a teacher is consistent in tone, expectations, and reactions, students feel safe. They feel safe to ask for help, to take risks, to admit confusion, and to try again after failure. And finally, with consistency and predictability, fewer behavioral issues arise in class. Many behavioral problems come from confusion, unpredictability, or unclear boundaries. But when students know exactly what to do and what the teacher expects, they are less likely to act out. Consistency prevents common disruptions in class, like arguments about the rules, or students claiming you didn't tell us, or wandering around not knowing what to do. So, the key message here is that consistency is a proactive classroom management tool. It strengthens the relationship between teachers and students. Here are some powerful examples for predictable routines. They are powerful because they are simple, repeatable, and easy for students to internalize. We have the entry routines. What students do the moment they enter the class sets the tone for the entire class. For example, greeting the teacher, starting with a warm up, or a quiet 2 minute starter activity to establish silence after a recess. Entry routines eliminate chaos and help students transition into learning mode. Second, clear expectations. Students should know exactly what good behavior looks and sounds like. And these expectations include the volume levels in class, silent, whisper, group talk, how to ask for help, movement rules when they can leave their seats, what to do when they finished early. So, clear expectations prevent misunderstandings before they become conflicts. A calm correction language, how a teacher corrects behavior affects the entire class climate. Examples of calm, consistent correction is, for example, try that again, please, or remember our rule about group voices, or address a student who's disrupting the class, take a moment, then rejoin the group. The tone is steady, not emotional or sarcastic. Weekly check ins, for example, on Friday, you ask them to give a quick reflection about the week. So, one thing you learned, one thing you struggled with, or a simple routine where you give them, the students, a chart, a mood chart, and they circle the color of their mood. Or a short Google form about stress, workload, any questions. The structure happens regularly, so students know they will have always the time to communicate. Listening and authentic communication, or also known as active listening. Eye contact signals presence, respect, and curiosity. It matters because students feel acknowledged and valued. It shows that you are focused on them. It builds confidence in shy or anxious students. But you have to use it very correctly. So you have to maintain a soft, non intimidating eye contact. You have to sit or lean slightly at their level. You have to nod or show small gestures to indicate that you understand what they are saying. Second, pausing before responding. Usually, when students talk, teachers often jump in quickly, either to give advice, correct, hurry them along. However, a simple pause shows deep respect. And this is important because it gives students space to finish their thoughts. It encourages shy students to elaborate and it prevents misunderstandings between the teacher and the student. How to use pausing before responding. You count to 5 silently before answering. You let them finish even if they struggle to express themselves. And you repeat back what you think you heard. Third, validating feelings. So, active listening involves validating feelings, and validation is not agreeing with the student, it is acknowledging with their emotions because sometimes a student may be wrong, but you acknowledge their emotions anyways. So, and this matters because students feel understood, not dismissed. It reduces their defense mechanism. It helps emotional distress. It encourages students to talk more openly in the future. How to validate feelings? You use expressions like, I can see why you'd feel frustrated, or, oh, that sounds really difficult, or it makes sense that you were upset. So, validation opens the door to guidance, redirection, and problem solving. Finally, active listening means avoiding judgment. Students shut down when they sense judgment, criticism, or sarcasm, even if it's very subtle. So, and it's important because judgment creates fear and emotional distance. It makes students hide their problems, it damages the trust, and it prevents honest communication. How to avoid this judgment? You focus on the actions, not the personality of the student. You use always a neutral tone. You replace why did you do that with let's understand what happened. And you avoid public corrections whenever possible. So, here are some strategies to building authentic communication. You always use your students' names. A name is the simplest and most powerful connection tool. It matters because it shows respect and recognition. It signals belonging. It increases the attention and responsiveness of the students. Or you use phrases like, let's figure this out together. This phrase is really very important because it shifts the power dynamic from teacher versus the student to teacher with the student. And it's very important because it promotes collaboration between teacher and student. It develops problem solving skills. It builds trust and emotional safety. And it shows students that they are not alone. How to use this phrase? Usually, when a student feels overwhelmed academically, during conflicts, during emotional breakdowns, when they make a poor decision. The key message here is that collaboration strengthens the teacher student bond far more than authority alone. Okay, sorry. Okay. Now, understanding students beyond their academic performance is one of the strongest relationship builders. Let's elaborate each point. For example, knowing their hobbies. Hobbies reveal a student's passions, personality, and motivations. It's important because it helps you connect conversations to something they care about, like art, music. You connect the lesson with their hobbies. This is useful for examples during the lessons. And it shows the student you value them as a whole person, not just for their academic work. And it creates an easy relationship or entry points to have a conversation with your student, like, how was your football game yesterday? Very simply. Some practical examples on using student hobbies to build strong relationships with them is students who love drawing, for example, give them options for visual assignments. Students who enjoy gaming connect math or coding concepts, or for example, for younger students, when you are drawing a family tree in class, but draw it in a Minecraft style. Students who love sports integrate movement or competition in learning. For example, teach phonics words using hopscotch. They will retain the phonics sounds while doing the movement that they like. Skills and talents. Students thrive when their strengths are recognized. It is important because it boosts confidence in them and it helps you assign meaningful classroom roles. It builds motivation through positive reinforcement and it allows students to shine in different ways. For example, a student good at organization, you assign him as claps helper, naturally. A strong reader, peer reading buddy. You assign him as a peer reading buddy next to a student who struggles with reading so he can help him. An artistic student, responsible for class displays, posters. Natural readers are the group facilitators. So the key message here is that students work harder for teachers who notice what they do well, who actually see them as a whole person, not just for their academic work. Okay, so knowing students deeply leads to powerful benefits. First, students will feel seen. When a teacher remembers details like favorite sports, pets, music, it tells the student you matter. I pay attention to you. And this creates trust, strong emotional safety, more willingness to share struggles. Secondly, it is easier to motivate students. Motivation becomes simple when you know what drives a student. For example, finish this and then you can help with the artboard. Or I know you like music, so let's use the song lyrics to explore figurative language. Relevance increases engagement. Third, recognizing the strengths and interests of your students builds natural conversation. Whenever you run out of things to say, when you know, you never run out of things to say when you know a student's interests. And this especially helps you during conflict moments or low energy days or one on one interventions or morning greetings. And fourth, strengthening behavioral management. Misbehavior often drops when students feel connected. Why? Because they are more willing to follow rules for someone they trust. They listen more to teachers who know them personally. You can redirect behavior without escalating. So behavior is often communication, and knowing your students help you understand the message they are sending with their behavior. So our final cornerstone for building strong teacher-student relationships is setting warm boundaries. Warm boundaries equals kindness plus structure. So students need to feel both safety and discipline to succeed. You set clear limits in the beginning. So warmth without limits becomes chaos, and limits without warmth becomes fear. So there should be balance between warmth and limitation. And this is important because students know what is allowed and what is not. It creates safety and predictability. It prevents conflict by removing uncertainty. Examples of clear limits: phones stay in the basket until the end, group voice only, no shouting. Then you use the gentle tone. The tone communicates just as much as the message itself. So, a gentle tone means a calm voice, neutral facial expressions, no sarcasm, no shouting. And it's very important because it de escalates tension instantly. It shows respect even during correction. And the key message here is that firm words plus a gentle tone set strong boundaries. Also, we have logical consequences. Consequences must make sense and teach responsibility. So if a student makes a mess, they help clean it up. If they misuse materials, they lose access temporarily to these materials. And if they disrupt the class, they take a short break and then rejoin. This matters because it feels fair to students and it builds accountability and responsibility in them. Consequences should teach, not punish. Finally, we have supportive redirection. Redirection guides students back on track with care. For example, you say, let's try that again the right way. Or remember our agreement? I know you can do this. And this is very important because it keeps the dignity intact, it prevents escalation, and it maintains connection while correcting behavior. So you correct the behavior while protecting the relationship. So our key takeaways, we have a few activities to reinforce what we learned today, but here are the key takeaways before we jump into those activities. So today we discussed several major factors to cultivate meaningful teacher-student relationships. As we recall, they are trust, which is the foundation of learning, the dual or double role of a teacher, which is the role of a teacher to be actively involved both on the academic side and the emotional, social side. We have encouraging student voice and participation. We have using consistency and predictability in delivering, active listening, which involves validating feelings, pausing, communication without judgment, knowing your students' strengths and interests to motivate and connect with them, and finally, setting warm boundaries. Here are the references for the sources and research studies used to support all what we discussed today. They are presented in APA style. So if anybody would like to share any questions or reflections before starting with our activities, I'll be glad to listen and help.
Please feel free to unmute yourselves to ask your questions or type them in the chat box. And I think Ms. Sedra had a question in the chat box.
Okay.
Um,
Uh,
okay, let me read it. Okay, so Ms. Sedra asked how to deal with students with a language barrier. They don't understand English well and revert to talk in their native language with their peers, disturbing the whole lesson.
Yes, actually, this is a very nice question for me because I'm currently teaching English as a second language for Turkish students recently. and I faced the same, very same problem. And I actually use Google Translate on my phone. I have to keep the communication and the relationship strong with them. So, and they have really accepted this technique, and they started, communicating with me very happily using this technique. So whenever they want to express themselves, but they have a language barrier, they ask me to work with my Google Translate on my phone, and we can share any problem, and we can communicate better. And it's really helped us build a very strong relationship with them. They are all native Turkish learners. They have zero English background, and it's very challenging for me to work with them. But this technique helped me and them a lot.
Yeah, Miss Reem, for your answer, you're receiving a lot of hearts. Yani, you have hit the pain points, right?
Yes, yes, it's not wrong to use technology or whatever makes our life easier in the classroom, our life and their lives.
Yeah, everybody's sending you thumbs up and
Yes.
hearts.
Thank you
So
very much, everyone. This means a lot to me. Thank you very much. You're such a warm audience, and I really appreciate it.
okay, so Ms. Reem, I think we can move to the activities. If none of the attendees has any questions, I've
Yes,
only received in the chat box a message from Ms. Sedra. Anyone
yes.
else? Would you like to unmute? Wow, there are a lot of big hearts.
Thank you very much.
MashaAllah,
Thank you guys very
MashaAllah.
much. You really boosted my spirits today. Thank you very much.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So we can, if there are none of the questions from the audience, we can. Oh, okay. We have another question.
Yes, sure.
Let's check in the chat box. Okay, how should we deal with students who are already intelligent and don't let another student speak? So they want a
Yes,
whole focus.
yes,
Brenda,
yes. Yes, it's
please
challenging to
for the
keep them.
meeting. I have a meeting.
Yes, it's challenging to keep them engaged, and at the same time, you want to give space to other students. I understand that. Actually, I usually give positive reinforcement to these students outside of the class. Maybe let them know my point of view, why I'm not letting them participate all the time, because I have to be fair with the other students. I have to focus on other students as well. I might tell them that I know you are a very bright and intelligent student, but we have to give space for others as well. But keep up the good work. I'm always watching you, and I always observe your participation. Don't think that this is left unnoticed. And at the end of every semester, I usually reward my star students, such as this one, with a little gift or something, just to let them feel that they are always in my attention, even if I'm sharing the floor with other students.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Reem. Thank you for your response. That's very insightful. We have two more questions, but I think we only have less than 20 minutes. So we'll jump to the activities and we'll come back to the questions at the end, inshallah.
Okay, okay, great. Wait, just a second. So here, okay. So we have the first activity here. I want you to react with an emoji. Okay. I will read real life classroom scenarios that involve trust, and you choose the emoji that best reflects how you feel about the situation. A heart, a thumbs up, a thumbs down for low trust. Okay, so here's the first scenario. A teacher consistently calls on the same few students, claiming they are more engaged, while others rarely get a chance to speak. So, how would you evaluate trust in this case? If it's high trust, show me a heart or a thumbs up. Yes, it's a very low trust situation. Yes, exactly. So here we have a typical situation of favoritism against or versus fairness. Okay, and it sparks reflection on fairness actually. So a teacher should be aware of the situation. A second scenario is a student confides in a teacher about struggling with mental health. The teacher shares some details with school administrators without the student's explicit consent. What do you think this? Yes, low trust. Exactly, exactly. So this scenario raises issues about safety and institutional obligations, actually. Third, we have a teacher admits to the class, I made a mistake in my lecture notes yesterday. Let's correct it together. What do you think? Yes, exactly. This scenario shows a very high trust, and we really should admit our mistakes and humanity even to our students sometimes. Okay, so another activity I will share here today is about the double role of a teacher. It's called the two hats challenge. What will you wear first, your academic hat or your social emotional hat? Okay, and here there isn't always one correct answer. So there is a balanced best practice approach, which hat to wear first and how to bring in the other hat. So you have to wear both hats in every situation, but you have to tell me the order in which you wear them. So the first scenario is you subconsciously call on your best students more than the others. How do you treat the situation? Which hat do you deal with first, the academic or the social, emotional hat? What do you think?
Please feel free to write academic or social emotional in your in the chat box.
Social. Well, actually, yes, I understand. I understand your emphasis on social and emotional, on the social emotional aspect. But first, and this specific scenario, you have to treat it academically first. You have to immediately change your participation pattern in class. Okay, so you have to call different students and rotate groups, and then you deal with the emotional social support. You rebuild the trust by showing inclusivity, encouraging quieter students, and validating efforts. But your viewpoint also makes sense. It's a viewpoint after all. The second scenario is bullying by a star student. So your best performing student is found mocking a classmate online, a typical bullying scenario. How do you react to this? Which hat you wear first, social and emotional? Social, exactly. You wear your social and emotional hat first, and then you wear your academic hat. Yes, very good. So here you protect the victim. You make it clear that bullying is unacceptable, and you hold the bully accountable. This is the social emotional aspect. And then you focus on the academic work. You work privately with the student to repair trust, to rebuild character, and to ensure learning continues. How about the third scenario where during a history discussion, a student makes a politically or religiously controversial statement that offends the others? What do you do first? Social, then academic. Very good. Social, then academic. Very good. Very good. So, this is exactly what you should do. You should treat it socially or emotionally first, and then you take the conversation back to facts, evidence, and respectful debate skills, which is the academic side. And here we have a pattern really revealed for us that in most scenarios we start with the emotional social involvement and then we move to the academic involvement. Okay, our next activity is about setting warm boundaries. And I would like we have two scenarios. I would like you to rephrase these boundaries in a warm and supportive way. The first scenario is A student keeps interrupting. The teacher says, "Stop talking, I'm tired of telling you this." Do you have any suggestion for rephrasing this in a warmer climate? Any ideas?
I would suggest if you would unmute yourselves and share with us how would you rephrase.
Yes. For example, the first scenario, you can rephrase it, but by instead of telling him, "Stop talking, I'm tired of telling you this," "I want to hear your ideas. Let's wait until your turn so everyone can listen." Or in the second scenario, for example, a student asks for help right as the teacher is ending the lesson. The teacher responds, "Not now, I'm busy." So instead of this scenario, you can create a warmer scenario where you say, "I really want to help you. Can you stay for 2 minutes after the class so I can give you my full attention?" Okay. And here we have our final activity, which focuses on recognizing the strengths and interests in students. We have Amir, age 13, and Sarah, age 11. Amir talks a lot during group work. He helps classmates with tech or devices. He struggles with long writing tasks, and he loves strategy. So, what do you think are Amir's strengths and interests? What do you think? Can you type in the chat box, please? What are Amir's strengths and interests? Yes, yes, he's a leader. He likes technology, he's responsible. Yes, yes, very good, very good. So, what role can we assign Amir to, given his hobbies and interests? Keep in mind that he loves technology also, digital tools. Okay? Yes, leader, helping others, very good. Leader, making of tech, very good, very good. Technical assistance, very good. This is exactly what should happen. Thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback. Yes. What about Sarah, which draws in the margins of every notebook? She likes manga, anime. She participates more when asked to present visually, and she writes comic strips during her free time. What do you think we should assign Sarah for? Any suggestions? Creative work, yes, art, very good. Creative tasks like audiovisual, very good, very good. This is exactly the message here. Very good, very good. Yes, yes, exactly. So Sarah is obviously a creative person who loves art, who learns better with visual aid. So we should have her take these roles. Very good, exactly, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback. And okay, now this is a wrap up reflection. It's called the relationship map. It's private for you at home to, sit with yourself and ask yourself what is one strength, or even more if you have. I'm sure you have one area you might need to improve, and one student you want to connect with this month. And this is a very helpful map to help you focus more on building a stronger relationship with your future, with your students in the future. Okay, so do we still have time for any
Yes,
questions, Isra?
Reem, we have about 8 minutes. We
Yes,
can answer the three questions in the chat box
yes,
very briefly,
yes.
and then we can sum up. Okay, so let me check the questions. I need to go back. Okay, so we have one question here.
Yes.
The students misbehaved and stopped doing work. What do we do with them?
Well, actually, I faced such a problem, and I told my student that I am treating him like a grown up. Okay, if he wants to learn, it's for his or her own benefit. If he doesn't want to learn, he will harm or she will harm herself. But please always respect my rules. So when I ask you for an assignment, please fulfill it. Respect should always be there, even if the student motivation or interest in the subject is not there. And I have to let the
You.
student understand that.
Thank you, Ms. Reem. This was from Ms. Ifra Zulfukar.
Yes.
Okay, and now we have another question from Ms. Sidra Rashid. What
Yes.
about parents who are in denial and refuse to accept that their child is struggling with any behavioral issues?
Yes, here I might resort to the school counselor for support actually. You need the psychological evidence for this, and maybe this coming from a psychological professional, it might, convince the parents more of your viewpoint.
And
And
it might
also your fellow teachers support when this is a pattern in more than one class, more than one subject, and with more than one teacher, you will have very strong evidence on your case.
We have another question from Ms. Ifra.
Yes.
Ms. Ifra Zulfikar, she's asking what might be the reason behind the student's behavior. I believe she meant negative behavior or misbehavior. I'm not sure. What do you mean, Ms. Ifra? If you could open your mic and let us know, are you asking about misbehavior or a certain type of behavior?
Ma'am, negative behavior.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, was that misbehavior?
Negative behavior.
Negative behavior. Okay, thank you, Ms. Afra. Yes, well, actually, there are many factors. Okay, they start with the student's personality, his home environment, any learning difficulties he might suffer from. Okay, so there are many factors actually to pay attention to. You must be very vigilant to them, and you should treat all these factors equally so you can gain your student back.
And the last question that we will be taking is from Ms. Hina,
Yes,
who's asking, okay, I'm sorry, Miss Rihanna,
yes.
what about distractive behavior, students who always hurt others and are stubborn?
Yes, I usually give them chances in class, and I've devised for recently for younger students the yellow card they give at a football match. So two yellow cards, two warnings. The third one is the last throw. It's a red card. You go outside to take a 5 minute break, reflect upon what you did, and then you can join us back. And it helps. It helped me a lot in class.
Okay, Miss Fatma Farid is asking students who don't give any respect to teachers.
Um, well, actually, you have to use a bit of a reverse psychology with this one. For example, at the end of semester, you reward students with gifts that matter to them. You research what matters to the students of their age, okay? And you reward only the students who show respect in class, disregarding their academic behavior. Even if their academic behavior is poor, but they are very respectful and polite in class, you reward it. So this way, the unrespectful student will level up the next semester because respect has nothing to do with academic abilities.
Okay. So let me look into more questions. Miss Hina, what steps should is asking what steps should be taken if a child shows behavioral issues such as refusing to study, tearing books, or becoming aggressive in class?
Actually, I think this requires the administration's intervention, the parents' intervention, and the school counseling intervention.
Yeah.
So it's
Thank
not
you.
your struggle alone as a teacher.
Exactly. I'm
Yes.
very sorry we will not be able to take any more questions. I would like to thank you all for your active participation today. It was amazing. Thank you, Ms. Reem. This was
Thank
brilliant.
you.
And I'm
Thank you
sure
very much.
that our attendees are taking a lot of takeaways with them.
Thank you
شوفي
very
the
much.
hearts and the love they're sending you. ما شاء الله.
Thank you, guys. It means a lot, really.
And
It
I would
really.
like to tell you that this is not